And welcome to the show. It's the COVER1 preseason show. It's the last one of the year before we get everything started with week one. Before we get into anything, though, I want to bring in my my boys here. Ryan Chadwick, James Bellini, the COVER1 crew. James, we'll go to you first. How excited are you that this is the last week of preseason?
I'm super excited, man. I'm happy for the Concho Valley. Let's go get it started. I'm going to bat for you against the Texas football authority in Texas, so I need y'all to back me up.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of good stuff already. Chadwick, you just got back from Lubbock. You just walked in the door. Perfect timing to sit down and talk about a little bit of football. We won't get full into Central yet, but that will be the team that we'll start talking about first. But just before that, it's been a long road to get back to football season. So what are you most excited for this season?
I'm just ready for the games to mean something. Like I've enjoyed going to the practices every morning and filming the scrimmages and talking to coaches and whatnot. But now I'm ready for the results to matter. I'm ready to see the culmination of all the training and all the hard work that all these guys put in over the offseason and throughout the summer to kind of come together and watch teams start to pursue that state title again. So I'm just glad football's back.
Heck yeah, football is back. And with that, let's go ahead and get right into it. First team we're going to be talking about, right off the bat, is the Central Bobcats. We saw an inter-squad scrimmage last week, but we actually got to see some real football against another team. They went down there to Lubbock to face Lubbock Coronado. Chadwick, you were there in person. I'll start with you. Just give me a full rundown on what the scrimmage looked like.
Okay, so the way the scrimmage broke down, each team had a set number of plays that they were going to play on offense. When that set number of plays was up, it doesn't matter what down and distance you were at. Team switched, started on the 25-yard line every time, and went going into the opposite end zone. So on defense, Central actually looked great. They only allowed one touchdown during that first section of drives that Coronado was putting together. Even had a goal line stand there at the end. So again, Coach Martin's new look defense out there, like the Bobcats might be building something pretty special. Offensively, Central got out to a real hot start. Scored 3 or 4 touchdowns on their first couple drives out there, but it was really hot. And as the scrimmage wore on, you started to see some of that conditioning come into play. Both teams started slowing down a little bit. And, of course, when you're tired, that's when you start making a little bit more mental mistakes. And Central's defense had a couple of miscommunications in the secondary, and Coronado was able to score 2 touchdowns off of that. But as far as, the first half of the scrimmage went, Central looked good. Christian English and Colton Hill both played with the 1s and 2s. They both led touchdown drives. Central looked great on the ground. One of the third or fourth string running backs that you probably haven't heard much about, his name is JP Nombrano. He wowed everyone. He had several runs of 20-plus yards. He even scored one of the Bobcats' touchdowns. So real great things in the first half of the scrimmage. In the second half, the Bobcats and Mustangs out there at Lubbock Coronado played basically a live half, full contact. Coronado started with the ball with a 12-minute running clock for the quarters, and Bobcats started fast on defense, put Coronado in a 3rd and 20, and then immediately gave up an 80-yard touchdown on 3rd and 20. So it was not ideal start, but and then on offense at that point, after the intensity of the scrimmage and how hot it was, you could just kind of tell that the Bobcats looked a little gassed on offense. Nevertheless, drove down to about Coronado's 6-yard line before they turned the ball over on downs. Couldn't quite get in that end zone there. But all in all, up to that point, it was a great scrimmage. Coronado didn't score the rest of the time. The Bobcats didn't allow another touchdown, but they had some dumb penalties there at the end. One of Coronado's drives was sustained purely through penalties. And so Coach Crane obviously was not too happy about that. And when I interviewed him after the game, he basically just said that. He's like, we got to get better. This is a super young team, and we got to get better quick. And I'm sure, Matt, we're going to see that interview here in a second. But overall, this was a great learning experience for the Bobcats. They are a very young team. They're starting a lot of guys at new positions, and it's taken some time, but it's slowly going to come together. And when the Bobcats are humming, they can score points.
Man, Chadwick, what do they need to change? What do they need to do? What do they need to get? I mean, the season starts next week. What did the Bobcats need to do to, to get up to speed to go win this one?
They need game experience, and that's all it is. Like with some of these guys who've never been on varsity before, this is their first experience of playing against guys that are this big, this strong, this fast, and so like they will get there, but it's just gonna take some time. But and I'll say this, James, like that's what the non-district is for, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're 0-5 in non-district, as long as they're ready to play by the time 2-6A starts,
Oh yeah, no, that's what pre-district's for.
And that's also what the scrimmage is for. But it's also to find out some of the better things about the team. So I know that there are, of course, things about last season that a lot of the fans were bringing in that they weren't happy about. And because of that, some changes were made, and we got a new defensive coordinator who was not a previous high school coach, was a college coach. How do you think that transition is with this new defense has been, Chadwick?
Like I said, Coach Martin's really just stepped in, and the previous defense coordinator took a head coaching job out in East Texas. So it wasn't anything like that, but like Coach Martin comes in, basically has a little time to just change the Bobcats' identity on defense. That he's changed their scheme. He's changed how they interact with each other. Bobcats were flying around to the ball last night. Like instead of 1 guy, 2 guys making tackles, it was 4 guys, 5 guys. And so their pursuit's good. And honestly, the stopping the run has always been an issue for the Bobcats. But like Coronado could not run the ball last night, and so like I said, there are several positive things to take away from the scrimmage. And back in the secondary, they got good size, but like they just need more experience.
All right, perfect. Well, we've heard enough from Chadwick and James and myself about the Bobcats. I think the best person to find out would, of course, be head coach Kevin Crane. So with that, we will go to an interview with Ryan and him after the scrimmage last night.
All right, I'm here with head coach of the Central Bobcats, Kevin Crane, after the second scrimmage against Lubbock Coronado. Coach, a bunch of good things happened today, some bad things happened today. Just give me your overall thoughts on the scrimmage.
Yeah, it's kind of like what you said. We did some good things, we did some bad things. Right now, I think we're kind of an immature team. We're just young. We were young all the way across the board, and that showed today. So we got to get some stuff fixed. We got to get some stuff cleaned up, and we got to mature really fast. And so that's going to be our focus this next week, is trying to get more mature and getting these young guys, ready to go.
Of course, like there was a couple of instances in the secondary where there's a breakdown in communication, but overall, the defense played their hearts out today. Kept them out of the end zone for most of the entire scrimmage. Just give me your thoughts on the defense.
Did some good things. We got beat over the top twice. I think same kid. And he's got to get that fixed, and we'll address that on film. We'll watch it, and hopefully he'll learn from that and won't let it happen again.
And then, as far as offense goes, there's guys who looked real good at the running back position. Shout out number 20. I don't know his name off the top of my head, but and then talk about the quarterbacks for a minute.
Yeah, we got some good production out of the running backs. Some of those guys were young. JP Nombrano was number 20. He did a good job. Finished some good runs. And did some good things, but we're still a work in progress. I think the quarterbacks had some bright spots, put the ball in play decently, through some completions. There were some that we missed on that we got to connect. And so, like I said, we'll watch the film, we'll evaluate, and we'll hopefully get better.
What's the message to the guys going into the last week of practice before the start of week 1?
We just got to get better, constant improvement, steady improvement, and we got to address some penalties, we got to address some immaturity, and hopefully we can do those things and get better and get ready for a really good Shoemaker team coming into our place next week.
All right, and again, this has been head coach of the Central Bobcats, Coach Crane. Thanks.
All right, we weren't just at the Central game yesterday, Central scrimmage yesterday. Our Matt Trammell went out to San Angelo Stadium for Meet the Chiefs. Matt, how'd Lakeview look?
Well, Lakeview is always an interesting team to talk about because you never really know 100% what you're going to get. Last year they had a really strong start at the beginning of the season, and then, of course, had some injuries and some other things that went down, and they kind of went on the downward trend. But coming into this season, I had some pretty high expectations to them, and really I think that they are going to live up to those expectations. The offense looked really good. They played Kermit, of course. They were humming. We're talking about the live half. They get the ball first. They end up getting the first down on the first play and then 3 and out. But ever since that, every single drive that they had one play touchdowns. If that was a little screen, if that was a bomb over the top. And it even went all the way down to the wire with less than I think it's 54 seconds left in the game. And Coach Guevara calls a bomb to just see if they can kind of make something happen. I know there's no winners or losers in scrimmages, but it made them win. I guess have more points at the end of that halftime. Looking on the defensive side, I think Lakeview played really aggressively going down into that halftime. The secondary maybe had a little bit of trouble if we're talking about with breakdowny coverages, but at the same time there was a lot of opportunities for them to have interceptions where they had batted down balls. So they're putting themselves in position sometimes. I know sometimes things slip up, but this is still the preseason, has some stuff to work out. Overall, I think that the Chiefs had a really good showing out last night. I think that it's going to give them some momentum moving into this week 1 with the, I guess I'll call it a win against Kermit. But yeah, I think it was pretty good.
And what do you think the Chiefs' identity is going to be on offense this year? Like last year, they had a real strong running game. Still threw the ball around a little bit, but do you think Coach Guevara is leaning a little bit more towards the spread now?
So what I noticed, and me and James were talking about this a little bit before we got started, was one thing about the Chiefs is they looked really conditioned. They were one of those teams that they're going to be snapping the ball probably every 15 seconds, and they really pride themselves on making sure that they're, especially last night, there would be times where the ref would maybe not have the ball set, or the defense, of course, it's a scrimmage, so the coaches may be kind of working through stuff. But the Lakeview had really good. Was really good at being set on the line, ready to snap the ball as soon as the ref took his hand off. And with that, you're running fast, you're doing these high tempo offense, your conditioning has to be top tier. And so Chadwick, I think that having the ability to just run constant play after play after play after play and trying to do these little, I know they scored on like a 50-yard, 60-yard screen from Michael Durand, and that was just, he caught that thing and took off. But I think that's what they're kind of priding themselves on, is just a high tempo, high octane offense.
So like Mike Leach air raid Texas Tech back in the day.
It's not too far from what we honestly saw last year with Central. With the way they're having their RPOs and things like that, they're really not too far off than what the guys across town are doing.
Man, who was one guy that stuck out to you as a playmaker?
So I will tell you that there was probably the two biggest playmakers. I'll say one on offense, one on defense. Of course, Michael Durand. He had that very long screen that he took to the house. Take something from behind the line of scrimmage and make a 2-3 yard play into 60, and it was like that. When he caught it, he turned it on. I think everybody on that sideline knew exactly where he was going, and that was the end zone. And on defense, man, number 77, Trey Henry, he is a beast out there. One of the bigger guys, stronger guys, plays offense and defense. Real nasty, and you know me, James. I like the nasty big boys.
All right.
Yeah.
So what's their what do you think the record's going to be this year, man? If you had to just say something based off of what you saw, how do you think they're going to fare in their first game against La Mesa?
Well, I couldn't tell you exactly without looking at the schedule what their breakdown of what the exact of it will be, but I do think that this season the Chiefs will be back in the playoffs. Of course, they're in a 5-team district, so it always comes down to that big spring game, but I honestly think that this is one of the better Lakeview teams that I've seen and that I've been covering since about 2019 here in the Concho Valley.
But Matt, the question is, are they beating your Levelland Lobos?
Absolutely not. You can't. Lobo loyalty, baby.
Hey, Brownwood graduated a lot on offense last year. I think Andrews graduated a lot too, so anything can happen.
Yeah, and I think if we can get past that first 6 weeks point, we might be rolling money there.
And stay healthy too. That's another big thing. Stay healthy. Stay eligible.
Yeah, and they have some big old kids, so I think that will bode well. And you honestly could tell that they did have some experience in that Kermit game last night. I did talk to Coach Guevara after the game, so let's go ahead and go there right now. I'm now here with head coach of the Lakeview Chiefs, Hector Guevara. Coach, there's no winners and losers in scrimmage, but this thing was like almost a nail biter as it moves down towards the end. What did your guys learn from this scrimmage?
We gotta be have more fundamental. Working on fundamentals defensively. We got to learn how to contain compress. We got to close in on passes. We can't be timid.
And so offense, first drive come out and you get a first down, first play, and then you're off the field. But then you move forward in the game, and it seems every time you get the ball, you're scoring on the first play. What does that show to you guys?
Early on they were blitzing pretty heavily, and we had a tough time picking it up. And you're going to have a tough time when they're sending more than we can block. So that's early in the year, it's going to be hard for our kids to pick up. But I think down, throughout the scrimmage, we're picking up a little better, and we executed and make some plays, which helps us down the line. So just got to sustain drives, and that'll help you. But if you can't do that, can't get a first down, then we're in trouble.
53 seconds left. You felt like you had to score. What was some of the things that you were telling your quarterback and your receivers as y'all were going out there, knowing that you're probably going to throw the ball?
No, not much. Go out there and just keep playing, and have fun, and and enjoy it. And got to finish. And you just teaching the kids how to finish and get ball game.
And then defensively, really aggressive tonight. Is that something that you were expecting, and is that something we should expect moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, we want to fly around and get to the ball. Make offenses kind of make decisions on the run and not give them chances to sit back and pick us apart.
And finally tonight was meet the Chiefs.
Yeah, it was good to see our club, our band, our cheerleader, our chief vets. I mean, our OTC, cross-country teams, volleyball teams. I don't know who else is out there. I forget. Our trainers, we recognize our trainers. They do a great job for us. Our filmers and managers, and it's good to recognize those kids behind the scenes because they don't get a lot of recognition, and it's good to recognize the other teams that are on campus, and hopefully we get some fans out there and support them when their season starts.
And then finally, Coach, how ready are you guys looking forward to next week?
We're getting ready. We still got to polish up a lot of things, and that's part of being preseason. So we just got to stay healthy and continue forward.
Perfect. This has been head coach Hector Guar.
And of course, we end our scrimmage coverage here with James Bellini. We sent James down to Brady. We're basically going to be having some intensive Brady coverage this year as well. The Brady Bulldogs scrimmage, not Kermit. I'm sorry, that was Lakeview. But James, just go ahead and tell me about how Brady looked in their scrimmage. New head coach this year. Go for it.
Against Llano.
Yeah, they scrimmaged Llano. Llano went pretty deep in the playoffs last year, so they're a really good football team. This is just the start of the gauntlet that Brady's going to have to face, but we'll get more into that later. It's kind of the tale of two sides of the ball. The defense, Brady's defense looked really good. They had an interception on Llano's first drive. Johnny Menefield got out there and tipped the ball to himself, or had the ball tipped and came down with it. Their corner, Mason Earhart, had a knockdown. I mean, they played incredibly good, defense for, they played good defense. They were clogging up running lanes, getting in the backfield, getting after the quarterback. Defense was not the problem. The offense needs some work. They still need to gel better. The offensive line needs to gel better. Lots of east and west. They were running left and right a whole lot, but they did break one. In their first half, their first quarter of their live half, they did break. Zeke Jones broke a big run, 80 yards down the field. That seemed to add a little bit of fire to him, but conditioning was an issue. There was a couple offensive plays from Llano that, went for touchdowns that just, they just looked beat, and they kind of worn out. So conditioning is an issue there, but they're going to be, they're going to rely on that defense a lot to keep them in games.
So James, what do you think was maybe it's going to be the key for the Bulldogs this year if we're talking about contending for a district championship? Got to have a key factor, whether that be your quarterback, your running back, you have a really good defensive end or an edge player. Who do you think is going to be their key factor?
Man, that Johnny Menefield linebacker, he's really, really good. Of course, Earhart, he had a couple he gave up, he gave up a touchdown in the live half, but he had a couple knockdowns and he played very well. DeMarcus Reed played really well up front. But yeah, that defense is really going to be special, I think. That defensive line's going to be good. And it's not a surprise, Jaron Roberts is a defensive guy for Stanford. He saw all kinds of offense last year, from Cisco's offense to Holly's offense to all different kinds of, he's seen everything. So, yeah, the defense is going to be what's special, and I think Menefield on defense is going to be kind of the difference maker out there.
All right, well, let's talk about the offense now. We didn't see a lot of Zeke Jones a year ago. Of course, he missed a bunch of time with that knee injury. He comes back. I've seen it in practice. He looks bigger, stronger, faster than ever. If the Bulldogs are going to score points this year, is it going to come down to how well Zeke Jones runs the football?
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously Zeke's going to be a big part of that offense. Their offensive line just wasn't quite there yet. I know they graduated their Kevin Avila last year, who actually made our all COVER1 team. He was an excellent for him. I think they're just young up front, and they're just learning this new offense that Roberts has brought in. Their quarterback, of course, when their pressure's in his face, kind of hard to get the ball out. His accuracy was a little off, but they're going to be okay. I think that defense is going to keep them in games, and that offense, if Zeke can break it 80 yards, you're going to be good.
So like the Bobcats are just young.
Yeah, I think they're young up front. I think that new coach, bringing in a new system, they need to get up to speed fast. They're playing Comanche this week. Comanche is a good football team. They went pretty deep in the playoffs last year. Then they play Mason, who's going for their 13th district championship. They're always a good team. Coleman was a good team last year. Dublin, then Cristobal, and I think they start district after that. So, it's important. Don't get discouraged if you get behind some of these games. These are really good football teams, and you're still learning this. So, take it slow. Take your good things and build on those good things that you do. Comanche's going to be a hell of a good team. It's a part of the Peanut Butter Bowl too. I want to say that was something that I recognized on their Facebook page. The Peanut Butter Bowl is you donate $2 for a jar of peanut butter, and they give it to food insecure families and children who obviously need the food. So that's a cool thing that they're doing. They said they're going to lean into some humanitarian things this year. So I think that's pretty neat.
Your final question, James, I'll give you. Actually, it'll be a two-part question. First, you're a Dallas Cowboy fan, so are you going to just take that to this year and just say feed Zeke? And then second, crunchy or creamy peanut butter?
Okay, I'm a creamy guy. You can't beat a good PB&J. Just a plain PB&J is pretty good. And Zeke, yeah, they're gonna. I think feed Zeke. That'll be something that I look back on a whole lot and reminisce.
Yeah, not so much anymore, but
yeah, I said it last night.
Zeke down in Brady.
I said it last
Patriot
night.
Legend.
Yeah, I said it last night in the text, and they got to get in better shape. That's part of it, and that was something Zeke had to deal with the Cowboys. He had to get in better shape too.
All right. Well, James did catch up with head coach Jaron Roberts last night, so we'll go ahead and go to that interview.
All right, we're here with Jaron Roberts, head coach of the Brady Bulldogs. Scrimmage Lano tonight. They made it very deep in the playoffs. Last year, a very good team. Your defense played pretty well.
Very happy with the way we played defensively in the first two series. We held them out of the end zone, got some stops, played really well in the live half. We got a little tired at the end, got to get in a little better shape. But overall, I felt like we were really flying around defensively, played well on that side of the ball, and we're progressing.
Okay, call out a couple guys who just played extremely well. I know number 7, Mason Earhart, correct?
Yes, sir. Mason
played pretty well.
Earhart had a good night. He gave up one ball there over the top, but other than that, came up, made a couple of good sticks, had a couple of good breakups. DeMarcus Reed played well down on the inside on the line. Ashton Ramsey played well at safety. And then linebacker-wise, I thought our outside backers played really well. Randall Wilson played well, Ashton Taylor, and then Gage Evans. So all three of those guys played really, really well.
And offense kind of looks more than a work in progress,
yes,
but they're coming along. Zeke had a big run.
Yes, sir.
That seemed to have a little bit of spark on the sidelines. Kind of just talk about your offense real quick.
Absolutely. Offense, we're still a work in progress, and our kids know that, and our coaches know that. We got in the gun a little bit more this week. We went all under center last week, so that was good to kind of do some things. We've got to improve on the offensive line. But you saw that with Zeke. I mean, when we block and we open up some holes, he's got some speed and he can make some plays for us.
All right, now just call out some offensive guys who you thought had a good night.
I would say Zeke obviously had a good night with the long run. I thought some of our receivers blocked well out on the edge. I thought up front, I would say that Manny Ozuna had a good job down on the inside. And so we're proud of those guys, but we just got to keep progressing offensively.
Now, one more thing. Next week, Comanche's coming to town. but I saw it's a peanut butter jar game.
Yes, sir. So the Peanut Butter Bowl, it's a fundraiser down out of San Antonio. Coach Escobar, when he was down as an assistant in San Antonio, actually kind of got started on it, and they started this last year. It's a real neat fundraiser. It raises jars of peanut butter for the hungry, and all proceeds go to local charities, and so it's a great thing. If fans want to donate to it, there's a link on both schools' Facebook pages. $2 for a jar, so $20 donates 10 jars of peanut butter to a great cause, and so we're really excited to do things on the humanitarian side of things and help some people out.
All right, this has been head coach Jaron Roberts, the Brady Bulldogs.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, we appreciate you, Coach. What are you talking about? All right, moving on. We got a couple scrimmages to talk about. I think the main one we want to talk about tonight is, of course, the Wall Hawks. So, guys, I'll kind of pitch this one around instead of, maybe one person taking it. I'll kind of pitch it around. So, Chadwick, let's start with you. Tell the folks probably what they should expect tonight during the Wall Hawk scrimmage.
Well, I went out to Wall's practice on Tuesday and just talked to Coach Guy a little bit about the scrimmage last week against Monahans and the scrimmage this week, which is going to be against Midland Christian. Now, Midland Christian is a private school, but they're equivalent of about a 4A anyway. And so this is going to be a real test for the Hawks, a real big test for their defense. Midland Christian's got a lot of athletes on their on the offensive side of the football, and so I'm sure that the Wall wants to contain Midland Christian, not let them score any points, and then offensively, I think they're just trying to get better every week, work on that passing game a little more before week 1 starts.
And so maybe folks don't really know this, and James, you can maybe shed a little light to this. Wall runs the triple option, still does, but we're throwing the ball this year.
Yeah, Coach Guy said nothing but good things about Gunnar Dillard as far as him taking that next step and being the guy and being a better option quarterback. And I wouldn't be surprised if they do work on that passing game some, because it's kind of rough last year. Yeah. But when you have Nathan Pepper and every other running back in the world back there, you tend to just stick with what works. But you're going to need that. You get that deep in the playoffs where you can contend for state. You need to be able to throw the ball. You need to be able to surprise some teams, and with some extra plays and everything. Even though when you get against Canadian, you are who you are, but you're going to need all assets of the game to come together and be that to contend there. Yeah,
and to build off of that, James, but my thing is, against teams like Canadian, you need that extra wrinkle,
Exactly,
and so I want to see the Hawks going from throwing the ball 3 to 5 times a game to maybe 8 to 12 times a game, You can still be who the Hawks are, but always have that threat over the top.
Yeah, that defense is going to be solid. They're going to be good. They're going to be okay. It's that I want to see that offense. I want to see how well that offense does.
I mean, they could have the greatest play-action pass in the state of Texas with the amount of, the split of difference between running and passing. Okay, so always in Cover 1 during our pregame show. This is a pregame show, but we always do picks. Guys, I'm going to put you on the spot. Didn't tell you I was going to do it, but we're going to do it. Midland Christian versus Wall. Chadwick, need a pick.
Wall, easy.
Easy?
Yeah, easy.
All right.
I have a lot of confidence in the Hawks this year.
All right, James. Wall, Midland Christian.
Wall. Yeah, Wall is going to be special. Like I said, I've been writing checks going against Texas football. Wall's going to help me out this year.
There you go. Your ultimate key. Well, if you're from Wall, I'd quit listening. Trammell's always the odd man out, but that's because I think that this Midland Christian team is going to be good.
Wall.
I know, but this Midland Christian team is going to be a really good team this year. It's going to be a good test for them. Coach Guys even said earlier this week that it's going to be a good test for them for what they're going to be seeing later in the playoffs. And with a good test, sometimes you get punched in the mouth. And I have a feeling we could be seeing something weird going on tonight.
Man, Coach Guy always says the political answer when he's...
Hey, but also I'm saying that because these two guys will be there and I won't. So, there you go.
Yeah.
You don't have to
we'll
face
deal
the
with
music.
it.
Yeah.
We'll deal with it.
No, in all seriousness, though, it should be a good one. Tonight the varsity's isn't that kickoff at 7:15?
7:30.
7:30. All right, yeah. So make sure you go out there to Wall Hawk Stadium, and I guess it's not Wall Hawk Stadium now. It's the
Clayton
Wysoon Stadium out there in Wall, America. See the Wall Hogs take on Midland Christian. Guys, final thoughts before we go. Chadwick, I'll start with you.
just want to give a shout out to the Central Bobcats one more time. Guys, it will come together. You just need more practice and more experience. Played well at times yesterday, didn't play so well at other times. Just trust that coaching staff and trust the process.
James.
Man, I'm excited for week 1. I'm excited for next week. This is the games start to matter, and we're getting into football season. It actually starts to feel like football season, so I'm ready for it.
Yeah, being out there at Meet the Chiefs last night, it did feel like football season, except for, it was 105, but that's about it. So hopefully with football moving around, it starts to cool off a little bit and everybody can sit out there and enjoy. Of course, if you can't, make sure you tune in to Cover 1. Even if you can, turn it into Cover 1 for our pregame show where we'll give you all of our hot takes just like this, including some picks. And then with the halftime show, we'll be giving you all the highlights from the first half of all our games that we're covering. And then at the end, we will see the wrap-ups. Those will include some interviews from coaches, maybe some players, and, of course, all the highlights. This is Cover 1. We're going to be here every Friday until the end of the year, so you better get ready to hang out with us. This is Matt Trammell, and for Ryan Chadwick and James Bellini, we will see you guys next week.